on. It was just clothing optional. What I first did is I watched the people. When we were through with the seminars, they had the option of getting a massage or going into the hot tubs or going into the saunas, and it was a whole health-oriented nutritional place and all of that. So you could do a lot of things. So I watched the people all day on Saturday, and all of the people would stay around their comfort zones. And their comfort zones were 90 to 100 degrees, that hot tub, or the one that's just a little bit warmer, or the one just a little bit cooler. And they would use those three. Nobody was going into the extremes, into the hot tubs on the far right or the hot tubs way down at the cold end. Finally, Sunday morning, I asked the people, why were you doing that? And they said, well, that's comfortable. And I thought about that, and I thought, well, that's one of the things that we all do too often, is we stay only with what is comfortable. We find a comfort zone for ourselves. We sort of set ourselves into it, and we snuggle in, and we let that just sort of nice, tepid, warm water flow by us. And we fail to experience the whole panorama of what life has to offer us because we're so consumed with just staying comfortable, with staying within our comfort zones. So I said to the people, I said, we're going to all of us are going to experience everything that we have to experience here. Why not? It's available, it's here, and at least check it out. And as a result of checking it out, then you'll know, rather than just having some preconceived idea of what you can or can't do. And you may find a whole new range of experience for yourself. And so we moved from the hot ones to the little bit hotter, and we check it out. And it was amazing how easy it was to adjust to something new. You could get into those very hot tubs, and you could handle that. Then when you get out, you could experience what it felt like. You could see how your body reacted. You could see if you felt any different, the circulation in your body, how that affected it. And then you could move down into the colder ones. Before it was over, everyone, all 75 or 80 people, experienced the entire range of what was available for them. Well, the metaphor there is that we need to do more of that in our own lives. We need to get out of just what we are accustomed to, what we've grown up to believe are our limits, and to begin to see that those limitations that we place on ourselves in our zones of comfort are the very things that restrict us from moving beyond the place that we are at now, experiencing all kinds of new things for ourselves. You can take and apply this in virtually every area of a person's life. I have seen people, I've talked to people, and I've said to them, have you ever tried Mexican food? No, I would never eat Mexican food. You've never tried a taco? No, I just don't eat stuff like that. I couldn't eat that. Well, why wouldn't you try? It just doesn't seem like it's something that you should eat. It looks more like something you should throw at a beach or something, but I just wouldn't eat that. Have you ever tried Chinese food? No, it looks like there's worms in there or something. I can't take that. Or, have you ever tried Italian? No, and you find that their range of experience is really their comfort zones. This is what they're used to, and this is what they have over, and life becomes, instead of an exciting adventure of all kinds of new and delightful experiences, it becomes one of just staying comfortable, I can remember one time we were driving across the country when I was promoting Your Erroneous Zones with my wife and my daughter, who was 9 years old at the time. And we got to Glacier National Park out in northern Idaho. There was a Lake McDonald there, and I had been thinking about comfort zones at that time, been lecturing about it and been writing about it. I was getting ready to write another book, Pulling Your Own Strings. I wanted to test myself. This lake, the temperature of the lake, I don't know what it was, but it looked like there could have been ice chips in there. It was very, very cold. This is not called Glacier National Park because it's got saunas in it and heated pools. And the water was very, very cold. And people would go in and they'd stick their toe in, and then they'd go back out and thaw out. And I said to my wife, I'm going to swim across this lake. She said, no. She said, you can't do that. It's about a mile across the lake. Now, I'm a long-distance swimmer. Right now, I swim a mile every single day. Or almost every day. I'd say 6 days a week. So swimming a long distance isn't a problem for me. And I've been doing this for years and years. Swimming in that temperature was something I had never experienced before. But I had a belief that while I was doing it, I didn't have to experience cold. It didn't have to be cold for me. I mean, cold to the extent that it had to be uncomfortable. It didn't have to be uncomfortable. I could go into that water and make it something that I could handle and not suffer through. But I would have to do that with my mind. I couldn't do that just with my body, because my body was going to react to what I was accustomed to. And I kept saying to myself, you are not going to be cold. This is going to be a wonderful experience for you. You're going to swim across Lake McDonald in Glacier National Park, and it's going to be... And I dove right into the side of the water. It was in the summertime. And I started swimming, and I didn't ever, during the entire time, it took me maybe 40 minutes or so, ever experience any discomfort all the way across that lake. While everyone else was shivering, I noticed when they would go up to the edge of the lake that they would tense up and they would find themselves getting ready to be uncomfortable, getting ready to experience pain. And I used my mind, my thoughts, which is what the whole thing is about, learning how to think properly in your life. And people who don't go beyond their limits are people who don't use their mind in constructive ways. I was going into the lake with the idea that I could do this, that it was going to be great, it was a challenge, and that it was going to be exciting, and I knew that I could do it. And therefore I didn't tense up, and my body didn't go into the rigid position that you go into when you expect things to be cold. And my body reacted the way my mind was training it to do it. And when I got out at the other side, I felt terrific. It was one of the most glorious experiences of my life to do that. Now, you don't have to go out and swim across Lake McDonald in order to actualize yourself as a human being. But what you can do is begin to look at, how is my life governed by the trappings of what I have been trained to experience in my life all up until now. What are my comfort zones? Look at those comfort zones, whatever they are, in your relationships, in your business. The whole world opens up to you when you get outside of any zone of comfort that you're in and push yourself a little bit more. The amazing thing about what you find is that it's not nearly as risky and dangerous and difficult as you think it is in the next hot tub. I mean, nobody's in it. You know, there's an old saying that I've used often, and that is that it's never crowded along the extra mile. The extra mile. It's like when you hear people talk about go the extra mile. You start doing that and you'll find there's nobody out there with you. That extra mile, you're all alone, you know? So that hot tub over there to the right or that one down there to the left, it isn't that you somehow have to get in there to prove that you can do it. It represents and symbolizes for you moving out of where you're comfortable, because as soon as you do that, then you're opening up new vistas, and more vistas open up to you. If you find yourself just staying the same way and defining yourself as, well, this is just the kind of person I am, I'm just sort of reserved, and this is how I behave, and this is how I conduct myself, and so on. Instead of that, what you do is you want to look beyond that. You want to say, all right, nothing human is alien to me. The entire range of human experience is available to me. Anything that any human being can do, has ever done, or ever will be able to do, I'm capable of doing. And viewing yourself that way and seeing that, then your zone of comfort becomes the whole expanse of human possibilities. That's what becomes available to you. But when you narrowly define yourself and stay with what is comfortable, whether it's in what you eat, how you relate to people, how much money you make, where you go on your vacations, every aspect of your life is affected by that kind of an attitude. Get out of your zones of comfort. This also applies to the emotional or mental side of your life. Most people go through their life saying, I'll believe it when I see it. Show it to me, let me look at it, then I will believe in it. That's a very narrow way to look at life, because it really restricts you to only being able to perceive and experience and live what you can see. And believe it or not, what you can see is a tiny percentage of what's available to you. A different way of looking at that is, I'll see it when I believe it. That is, I am only seeing in my life, and always seeing in my life, what I choose to believe in. See, if you only will believe what you see, then how can you believe in thoughts? And why would you pay your electric bill? You know, I mean, if you can't see it, and nobody can see electricity, then you shouldn't be paying that. And you certainly can't believe that you have a mind, because you can't see your mind, you can't touch your mind, you can't feel it, you can't smell it. It's impervious to the senses. It's a higher part of you. But if you know that just because it's invisible, or just because it's not available to me through my senses, that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. That it's all out there for me to experience, so that you'll begin to see miracles, for example, in your life. Wonderful, phenomenal miracles, more and more of which have cropped up in my life in recent years since I've shifted around my attitude about it. You begin to not only expect them, but you'll see them as a regular part of your life, because your consciousness has changed, because you've gotten out of that comfort zone of only looking at it with what they call your left brain, or with your analytical side, with the side that needs to carve it all up and make it organized and make it neat and make it real clear and easy for us. That's that sort of left brain. But the right brain, which is our intuitive side, which is the creative side, the side of our whole mind and thinking and personality, which is unlimited, which allows us to have an imagination, to be able to create within our own mind. That side is just as important. Both of those sides of us are very important. But if you only restrict yourself over here, you'll always continue to have very, very limited vision in your life. Because if you can't analyze it, if you can't put a formula on it, if you can't dissect it, if you can't insure it, if you can't put it away in a drawer someplace and get your hands on it, then it doesn't exist for you. And boy, does that take away a lot of the range of human experience.